I was 18 when this story took place, in the winter of 2015. It's not super long, though I sure was terrified when it happened. It was on a logging road south of Dover, Massachusetts. There was a decent amount of snow on the ground. I was visiting home for a couple days, and my little sister, 17F, and I wanted to go for a drive and listen to music. So we drive for a good 20 minutes away and find this back road and pull off a good distance from the main road so no one would see us. It was pitch black out, and in winter it's so dead silent at night it's eerie, especially out in the boonies like that. I left my headlights on because I had this creepy feeling like we were being watched, but just figured it was a deer or something. I'd seen moose on that road before, so I knew it was busy. My sister and I were having a conversation when I looked out into the trees, and I swear I see this emaciated, pale, white humanoid type thing, just barely trying to hide behind a tree. It was still in the darkness beyond my headlights, so it kind of melted into the shadows. I stared at it for a long time. My sister was involved with something she was talking about, so she was oblivious to my change in mood. I couldn't take my eyes off of it. It had this misshaped head that was too big for its thin body, and its eyes were two huge black unblinking marbles. It didn't move or do anything, so I kind of told myself it was just something I was seeing in the shadows. It was just beyond the light enough that I could write it off that easily, I guess. I went back to talking with my sister for a while and decided to see if I could still see the shape of the creature in the shadows. And the next time I looked up, it was closer, now just at the edge of the light. I felt so scared my eyes filled with tears. It was sort of hunched to its right side and was standing with a rounded back with its bony, weird hands in a claw shape. I had pulled into the beginning of a single-lane road that was plowed 10 feet in. There was no room for me to turn around, so I had to back out. I made the terrible mistake of just gunning it backwards. Every time I kept looking back, it was closer and closer. I ripped the plastic covering off of the driver's side mirror, almost hitting a tree in my rush. I hate to say that I left it there. I was too scared to stop and pick it up. My sister never saw the thing. She was super confused about why I randomly decided to get quiet and then book it out. We drove for a while longer, but I didn't pull off anywhere. I still felt really creeped out. It took me a while to get comfortable going out in the woods alone, or driving down back roads alone at night again. I definitely still have no clue what it was. It wasn't some confused hiker wandering around naked, but it had the upright body of a person. Looked kind of like those Dover demon sketches.
I live in Massachusetts. In the house I grew up in, there was a person who committed suicide before we moved in. Me and my brother used to see spirits in the house occasionally. The most profound experience was when I was in single digits. I had a dream that had this weird music playing like a music box. And when I woke up, the music was still playing. My light was on. When I went to bed, it was off. And there was a man at the foot of my bed. Black hair, his skin was very pale. His eyes had black and brown pigment that stretched to the corner of his eyes. You could barely see the white in them. He was wearing a black and red cloak, and he looked menacing, like he was going to attack me. He had to be at least 7 feet tall, but I wasn't afraid. I saw him a couple times after that, and one time one of my friends saw it the same time I saw it. My brother used to see a man covered in ashes in his closet on the regular. He was naked with ashes all over him. He had one full black eye, like the typical media demon eyes, and one blue eye. He was crazy, and sometimes at night you could hear him say, "I'll kill you." You could hear it outside of the house, but nobody would be there. At night, when it would thunder and lightning, there was a woman with long curly hair that would stand in my doorway and look at me as she was concerned. The last one I'll tell you is when I had a dream. It was the last night that I slept in that house. I started in the basement in the dream, and there was a man that told me in every room you have to say Our Father 3 times to stay protected. When I was in the basement, there were soldiers on the floor, literally half in and half out of the floor. They kept asking me if I could get them a tent. The weird part is the land. There were soldiers who died there. In the basement, I also saw the man with the ashes and one black eye and one blue eye. He was taunting me the whole time. When I went upstairs and I got to my bedroom room, I said the Our Father 3 times. I could control the dream. When I got to my bedroom, there was a little girl in it, and on the side of one of the windows there were 7 cups. 6 were filled with red liquid, and the third was filled with a blue liquid. The girl asked me if I would be her guardian angel, and she was so sweet. I said yes. So she told me to drink from the blue liquid, and I remember the taste in my dream. It was like a liquid lollipop. After that, I woke up. There are more stories, but these are the ones that really stick out and had an impact on my spiritual beliefs. Weeks later, my family was really fed up about the creepy things that were happening, and we finally moved out of the property. I never want to go back there ever again.
I don't believe in ghosts. Even after everything that happened, I still prefer to think there's a rational explanation for it all. But I can't shake what happened to me when I was in state care, living at the Sargent House, a group home in Boston. I ended up there at 16 after bouncing around different state programs. My adopted family had given up on me when I was 12, saying I was too difficult to handle. The Sargent House was a semi-independent living home, meant to help kids transition to living on their own. For a while, everything was fine. I was staying on the second floor with a kid I knew from a previous program. But when he had to leave, the staff decided to move me to the fourth floor to bunk with another kid, Brandon. It was the middle of summer, and I was worried about the heat, but the staff assured me the central air would keep it cool up there. The moment I started climbing the stairs to the fourth floor, something changed. Halfway up, I felt this intense cold, like stepping into a freezer. At the same time, this heavy feeling pressed down on my shoulders, and a thought hit me hard. You should not be here. I froze for a second, but the staff pushed me the rest of the way up. The room was decent-sized, with low, slanted ceilings and a closet that connected to the empty room next door. When I opened the closet, I saw it had two sides with high shelves and a dark space above that I couldn't see into. Not long after moving in, I started having these nightmares. I'd wake up in bed, unable to move, and the closet door would creak open just a bit. The darkness inside was terrifying. These dreams happened every night, and I was exhausted all the time. Then, the dog appeared. In my dreams, I'd hear it growling and sniffing, then feel my blanket being pulled away. This massive, black, bear-like dog with glowing red eyes and sharp teeth would be staring right at me. I'd feel this overwhelming sense of doom, like I was facing death itself. And then it would attack, tearing me apart in my dreams. I woke up one morning to find the closet door wide open. I told Brandon about it, and he thought it was creepy but figured it was just air currents causing the door to open. But the dog dreams didn't stop. They got worse, and I started sleepwalking. The staff found me standing in front of the closet door more than once. One night, I found Brandon lying on the floor, arms spread like he was crucified. His eyes were staring at the ceiling, and when I called his name, he didn't respond. Then, the closet door slowly creaked open, and Brandon suddenly looked at me and said, "Don't worry, they won't hurt you." And then he started having a seizure, shaking violently, his head banging against the floor. He was taken away in an ambulance and never came back. I refused to stay on the third floor after that. The dog dreams continued, but now the dog was outside on the fire escape, growling at me through the window. It never came inside though, and over time, the dreams faded. I never saw Brandon again, and I still don't know what really happened. But the memories of that place still haunt me.
I hope you found these stories as chilling and unsettling as I did. It's a stark reminder that sometimes reality can be stranger and more frightening than fiction. If you enjoyed these tales of suspense, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more spine-chilling content. This is your host, Nicholas Black. Until next time.